Hi, crew. Good morning. It's Friday morning. Today, we're going to get a brief lecture, and then you have two fairly short videos I need you to watch. Okay. Today, we're going to wrap up the effects and consequences of the Industrial Revolution. Although next week, when we wrap up the unit, we'll address them a little bit, but that's where we stand today. You shouldn't have homework tonight, guys. I have two brief videos for you to answer questions on for classwork here. You can see. I need you to pay attention to this part. Look, you can pick the questions. This is meant to be an introduction to these two isms, okay? Capitalism and communism. I'm not expecting you to master it. I want you to kind of just watch the videos, hit play, and go. I'd rather you not pause it too much. That's why I'm saying answer 5 of the 9, all right? It allows you to skip some. They do go in order. I do this with every video that we do this year, so keep that in mind, and with almost every reading we do. I'm not trying to trick you. So as you're listening, these should be clues, okay? You should know if you've gone too far, all right? If you want to answer the first 5 and be done with it, I'm fine with that, but I really would prefer if you didn't just then stop the video and leave. Listen to the rest of the video, okay? But don't feel like you have to answer the questions. There's no extra credit for answering more. And again, same thing down here. If you answer the first 6, awesome. But please still listen to the remainder of the video so you have some idea of what we're going to be, the full picture. Okay? No class opener today. Sorry, I'll admit I'm not really feeling a class opener today. Here's the notes, and here's the lecture. And again, here's the classwork. I think I'll be done with these notes in about 10 minutes, and that should give you plenty of time to get this done. I do not ever really want you to have homework over the weekend. But if you don't use your class time wisely, it will be homework. Okay? Here we go. Back to the notes. I don't have any real visuals for you today. Okay? So last class, we talked on, these aren't in any particular order, but we talked on 3 of the results or the effects of the Industrial Revolution. All right? Now we're going to get to some good stuff today. All right? What are some good things that happened during the Industrial Revolution? First of all, you have more of the best kind of time, free time. Okay? I believe I've talked about this in class, but not many of us hunted our food this morning. Not many of us had to sew our clothes we're wearing. The Industrial Revolution makes things easier on so many levels for people, all right? It's the beginning of the modern world that you know. And the modern world has produced this awesome stuff called free time. And as I've discussed before, free time is awesome because during free time, you can do whatever you want. And how it relates to the Industrial Revolution is free time leads to people being allowed to, you're so busy you don't think sometimes, I guess is what I'm saying. And when they have free time, they're able to think of inventions, think of ways to improve things. They're able to ask questions. They're able to challenge things. More free time. This is going to be an era, guys, when countries have their industrial revolutions, it's also a time of a lot of protesting because things are not going well with the industrial revolution all the time. Workers' rights aren't always there. So free time allows people to protest, to work for their rights. Okay, so free time, hey, look, I'm just like you. I take it for granted, but I always try and remind kids, whoa, free time is the best time, and let's try not to take it for granted. In general, during the Industrial Revolution, countries do get richer. Okay. Yes, the places where it begins are going to do better than the places it eventually trickles to. But once these countries start to have their industrial revolutions, people get richer. Now, is it like money coming out of their ears rich? No, not always. But people do make more money. The best part of that, and what we're going to talk about next week, is as countries get richer from trade, they're able to invest that to improve the lives of its citizens. Some of it is spent on military. Some of it is spent on libraries. Some of it is spent on hospitals. Some of it is spent on classrooms, okay? Countries have this excess money to try and improve, and they also have more free time. They understand their citizens have more free time. Just a little side note, once the Industrial Revolution comes to countries, it also usually increases the popularity of entertainment, of sports. Again, if you're not hunting your food, you're probably willing to sit down and watch a soccer game or a baseball game because you're not as concerned about things. Goods were easier to find. There you go, get out of there. Easier to find. And then thus, because they're easier, guys, are they more expensive or are they cheaper? They are cheaper to buy. Right? Who doesn't love cheaper stuff? Who doesn't love saving money? All right, again, you're going to start to have inventions like the vacuum cleaner, dishwashers. All right, think about how those things have changed people's lives and made them easier. Not that everyone has one on Earth, but how they make lives easier. All right, this is the beginning of downtowns, of shopping centers. We're not at malls yet, but sort of these centralized locations where people can shop. Okay. And then the final good thing that happened because of the Industrial Revolution is because of the agricultural revolution, people started to eat better. And then people, because of the Industrial Revolution, had more clothes. All right. Before the Industrial Revolution hit societies, many people only have a couple articles of clothing. All right. That means they're going to wear them more likely when they're dirty, which is going to lead to more disease. So healthier diets and better clothing. The next couple. All right, number 5 is unions are created. We're going to talk about them a little bit more when we talk about the isms next week, but this is just to give you a little touch on them. How and why they are started is, first of all, poor working conditions. So we're going to talk about these poor working conditions next week. And you saw them a lot in the image search you did for homework. It caused workers from common jobs to rally together to bring about changes to those poor working conditions. I don't want to print. Those poor working conditions. Here's our definition of unions. And next week, we're going to get into the pros and cons in unions, what's good and what's bad about them. I'm in a union, okay, so I'll be able to speak from my own personal experiences. And what it is, it's people coming together, strength in numbers, all right, and they negotiate together. They go on strike together, all right. At first, governments would allow unions because when a union goes on strike, that business isn't going to work. So that can upset stability and order, all right. But eventually, the people protesting won out. And again, we're going to dive into number 5 a little bit more next week when we talk about the isms. Number 6, we're also going to talk about when we dive into that a little bit more next week. But basically, these are changes caused by industrialization. These are rules. These are things that, again, Britain did it, then America did it, and now the rest of the world is doing it. And it all started with child labor, which we're going to look a little bit closer at next week. Okay? Many jobs had increased their pay, and then also began requiring laws, by law, breaks from work throughout the day. What we're going to do next week is I'll take you through the average workday of a kid your age working in a factory. And trust me, you'll be very thankful for our hybrid schedule. Working class men gain the right to vote in European countries. It's still, within Europe, it's still going to be about 100 years until women gain the right to vote. But working class men, so non-landowners, gain the right to vote. Britain bans slavery and the slave trade. Now, there's two motivations to this. Yes, they started to realize, the awfulness of slavery, the violation of human rights, but it's also this part too. Yes, it's immoral, but also people within the British Empire, British citizens, wanted to get a job, and those jobs are being taken by slaves. Okay, the lives of women, guys, during the Industrial Revolution does slightly improve. Because now they have more opportunities to leave the house, gain more independence. When they gain independence, when they get out of the house, they're able to show men that, hey, there's no difference between us. All right, they're starting to level the playing field. All right. In the videos we'll watch next week, we'll look at the women from Colombia and Bangladesh. You'll see how their lives, although to us from our perspective may still seem very difficult, they're definitely a vast improvement over where their lives would have been before the Industrial Revolution. The final thing, big thing for me. The Industrial Revolution leads to free public education. The 2 reasons are, I've talked to you guys about a lot this year. Number 1, it's my base level of my job. It's to babysit you. If your parents are working I know your parents aren't all working in factories, but at the start of an Industrial Revolution, if your parents are all working in factories, who's home to take care of the kids? So we became babysitters in the first part. And then the second aspect of the Industrial Revolution and creating schools was to train the next level of worker, all right, to train that person for the assembly line, to train that person to be a manager, okay? So like I said a couple times, we're going to touch on 5 and 6 a bit more next week because it definitely works its way in with this stuff, okay, these isms. As you can see, we have 1 page of notes. This whole page of notes is going to take us all week next week. We're basically going to do like one of these isms a day, all right? So that's 4 days, and then I'm going to do another day where we watched this Planet Money t-shirt video that I started with the kids in school, and you guys at home had an option to start, but you might not have. We're going to do that the other day, and then I'm going to do a little bit more around child labor for you, okay? But I think at the end of next week, guys, we'll be done with this unit, and then I'll be even closer to coming back. I still don't think I'm going to return until around Veterans Day, but I'm going to start working in more as far as like being a live stream, so you guys will, I think, will sit in the classroom, and I'll live stream from my house. I'll start off doing like 1 class a day, see how my energy level is, and then hopefully build to everyone. Just to give you an update on me, I still get tired walking to the mailbox, guys. And I think you know me already. You know I bring a lot of energy to the classroom, and I don't want to just bonk out in the middle of class. Like, I don't want to get exhausted by doing it. So I'm not going to come back until I'm ready. All right, guys, now that I'm done with the lecture, let's move over to the videos again. You don't have to answer all the questions, but please watch the video in its entirety. I think this one's like 8 minutes and the other one's like 12 minutes. Okay? All right. Have an awesome weekend. Again, I hope this isn't homework. Please get this done.